right? Feel a little bit heavy. You've been on them all day, right? They should. It's pretty natural. They should feel heavy. But this is the point of the day you have to think, how am I going to get my legs ready for tomorrow? Right? We're only 1 round in. We're only 2 rounds in. God knows you need to make the cut to make any money. So by Saturday and Sunday, you need to probably have your best stuff. Right? So this is where willpower says, I need to roll through my legs to get the lactic acid moving. And then, if there's a pool, right, I need to get down to that pool so I can get in there and start kicking around a little bit and get the blood flow moving. Right? Now I don't need to fill the bathtub with ice and do a proper ice bath treatment per se. But certainly a lot of these hotels you're going to be staying at, they have some access to a pool, right? That's a great opportunity for you to go down, not necessarily do any swimming, but certainly get in there, sit on the side, kick the legs a little bit, let the cool water start to flush the tissue a little bit, right? Between that and the foam rolling and some stretching after a long day, you're going to have a good meal, and that's professional golf, boys. You're going to go to bed early. You know, half the time those guys are just trying to figure out where they can go to eat each night. Because you have to create consistency. Remember, that's your base camp for 6, if not 7 days sometimes. Right? Adam Scott came here last year, day 2, boom, feeling great. Day 3, feeling great. Day 4, tries a different restaurant. Day 5, what did he come see me for? Diarrhea. Dehydration. Right? So as much as you think it's glamorous that you're going to get to go out somewhere every night and try some great restaurant, you have to prepare for the next day. Meaning, even if that means you don't try that great restaurant you were thinking of, you eat something simple, you eat something plain, you eat something that you know your body can digest so that you can sleep well, right? In Adam Scott's case, that dehydration led to that, you know, that diarrhea and that upset stomach for the next 3 days. But that's just the reality of professional golf, right? If I go play in India, if I go play in, you know, half the guys I see in India every year, we go to Delhi Golf Club, you know, the tandoori chicken there is the best in the world. The moment they eat anything else, they get Delhi belly, right? Which means they're super dehydrated. So you got to figure that out a little bit because each week, each venue, you got to figure out something that works for you, right? Now, a lot of guys like to do the protein shakes. They like to bring their own stuff. That's all based on you, right? What we do know for sure is you need to be eating while you play, so you have to figure out something that works for you. Tiger does peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. A lot of guys do bananas. Things that don't spoil, right? Now, when you're 14 years old, when you're 16, 18 years old, you feel invincible. But I promise you, as you get older, you start to realize it really makes a difference. How many 100 pluses did everyone have today? Word is not enough. Right? 6, 5, 10. At some point you realize how many did you drink and how many times did you go to the bathroom? You had 6, how many times did you pee today? 1? Maybe? Maybe not even, right?
1, maybe.
Yeah. So you imagine any other day you have 600 pluses, how many times you have to pee? 2 times? 3 times? Who knows? Out there, there's so much humidity here, right guys? We know it. It really makes a difference that you need to keep hydrated. So, let's say I go to an event, right, like any other amateur event, and they don't provide 100 plus or something with electrolytes in it. So how do I create my own electrolytes? Packets. We carry around packets. Does everyone here carry around a little packet? You know what I mean is, let's say on the 3rd hole I get stung by a bee, or I cut my finger on a thistle or a branch. Do I have any of that stuff with me? You know, on an average tournament, you know who staffs that? A paramedic. That's it. You know what a paramedic is doing? They're just simply there to save your life from a heart attack. That's it, boys. So even if you need ice, there's a good chance they can't probably help you. Right? So you have to think about this every week, meaning you probably need some Neosporin or some antiseptic. You probably need some Band-Aids or something you can cover with a little bit of tape, right? You probably need a salt packet or an electrolyte everywhere you go. Does that make sense? Yeah. Boys, what did I just say? What do you need to carry with you? Give me 3 things I just said.
Sex, drugs, and rock and roll.
Sex, drugs, and rock and roll. And the coffee. Every week you need to carry around something that's going to help you succeed, right? Which means you're going to need some antiseptic. You're going to need a Band-Aid, a little pack of Band-Aids. You're going to need some salt or some electrolytes. Because if you start cramping day 3, no one's going to be there to help you. And that's not their job either, right?
This is perfect. What do you need in your equipment kit? In the bag. You need a little medical kit in your bag.
Every week, guys.
Simple things like Band-Aids and Elastoplast and
Tape,
tape.
electrolytes, salt, right? These are things that are going to save you, man. I'm telling you, because I see guys every week that do everything right up until the point of the event, and then they get what? They get a little cut. They get a little tired. They get a little fatigued. Next thing you know, their calves are cramping. What? The whole tournament's spoiled, guys. Coach already went through it and said how expensive it is to even show up. But if you can't show up prepared, it might be the difference. All right, let's get started. All right, boys, neutral yoga position. Okay, what I mean is hand and wrist are below the shoulder. Both sides. Knee is below hip, which means you go a little bit wider. Now, back in neutral position. This is called neutral downward dog. Okay? This is yoga for dummies, but yoga for golfers. Something easy. We start with simple cat, camels. The cat is all the way up, the camel's all the way down. Now, arms don't change. This isn't a modified push-up. All this is a simple flexion extension of your lumbar and thoracic spine. All the way down, all the way up. Let's do it together. 10. All the way up, all the way down. 1. Keep those elbows straight. All the way up, all the way down. 2. I hear a lot of guys breathing. That's very important. A lot of yoga instructors stress deep breath in, deep breath out. Deep breath in, deep breath out. Keep working through it. Let's do 5. Let's do 4. Let's do 3. Let's do 2. Let's do 1. Good. So, right now we got a little flexion extension to our low backs, right? We stay in this position and we keep working through it. Next thing we work on is thoracic rotation. We take one hand, we stay in this position, we interlock it behind the head. We simply come down, we touch our opposite elbow, and we extend to the sky. 3, 2, 1, down. And again. 2. Now, is there a correct angle? No. Everyone's T-spine rotation is different. But certainly you don't want to overdo it and try to get as high up to the sky as you can if you don't have that range of motion. All of this is flexibility you have to earn. Keep going. Nice and slow. This isn't a race. Follow it with your head. What I mean is the head in the cervical spine also flexes and laterally rotates up. Don't just move the shoulder. Follow it all the way up. We got 3 more, and then we're switching. Okay, switch, other side. Interlock on the left. All the way up. 1. Beautiful. 3, 4. Beautiful. Okay, last 2. Okay, now we've started to warm up the T-spine. We advance the motion by bum coming down onto heels. Okay, bum comes down to heels. If you feel like this is too much load on a knee, you can extend back and maintain that knee straightness. Right? You can certainly put something underneath it, but you're getting all the way down because now my lumbar spine is locked. It doesn't move. So now I'm sitting on my heels, I'm doing the same thing, but my range is going to be a lot less. Okay? You do 5 of those. Bum on heels, knock it out. Good. If you feel tight, bum back. If you feel tight, this is your exercise. If you don't feel tight, this is still your exercise. Welcome to golf, boys. This is a rotational stretch. Now, a lot of guys I see that pain at the end, in the end range.
Yeah.
Don't feel like you need to overdo it, fellas. Remember, if you're Adam Scott, if you're Justin Rose, you're not going to have the same T-spine mobility. This is something you earn. Flexibility is earned, and then a lot of it's genetics too. After 5, switch. Okay, beautiful. Once we finish, we end up in child's pose. Hands all the way forward, bum back, big stretch. We hold this for 10 seconds. Bum back on your heels, butt all the way back, big stretch all the way down, and hold, and breathe. This is your home page. This is your neutral. If you can't get your bum back on your heels, you have flexibility issues in your hips. If you have flexibility issues in your hips, this is something you have to work on to get better, right? All right, come all the way back up. Grab the foam roller. All right, we're laying on our side. We have foam roller up, we have foam roller between the knees, right? All I'm doing is I'm simply in a neutral position. What I mean is neutral is fine, comfortable for you. Now, what does this look like? Sleeping, right? What does this look like when I put a pillow between my legs? My hips now are in a neutral sleeping posture. How many guys sleep with the pillow? How many guys here sleep on their side? How many guys here sleep with the pillow between their legs on their side? Smart guys. What you're doing if you put the pillow between the legs is you're squaring your hips. So you're taking a lot of the pressure off of the hip throughout the night, taking a lot of pressure off the low back. So a quick way to fix some of that low back pain is straight away, get the right pillow, put something between your legs so that now your hips are in a neutral position. Okay? Sleeping makes a huge difference now because every single night you get to a new hotel, right? So use the pillows on the bed to master your own, make your own space, right? All right, so we're in this neutral position, this sleeping position. My legs are in pretty much a 90-degree or a little bit less position. I get the pillow or I get the foam roller between. From here, I'm gonna touch my palms together. I'm gonna follow my palm up with my head all the way back and touch, or as far as I can go. I hold, I come all the way back. So now I integrate the breathing. I take a deep breath in, and a deep breath out. My hips do not move because what? I'm squeezing that foam roller. Let me see it down the line. Follow with the head, follow with the head. Come back, follow with the head. You see how you get a little bit more range? Good. Beautiful. Follow with the head. Let's see. That's great. Back to neutral. Follow with the head, follow with the head. There it is. Beautiful. Come a little bit forward. Straight in front of the head with those arms, boys. Now follow with the
head.
You see how yours is tight, right? So that's something you're going to work on.
Wow. Nice.
Follow with the head. Keep that cervical, keep that head moving all the way. Let's see it, boys. I can see you guys in the golf. Yeah, there it is. If you don't feel any stretch, you are 14 years old and you're still very flexible, right? That's the great thing. Boys, this is going to change. Father Time is going to wear on those cells. So understand, when you're young, flexibility is never going to be the issue. But maintaining that stability, therefore, it is. So strength for you guys, strength and stability is going to be more important than flexibility. All right, we'll switch. Other direction. We got 10. Let's knock them out. Oh. Yeah, good. If I hear grunting, that's usually a good sign. All right, we got 3 more. Good. Great. All right, now we come back. We stay in this position. We take the pillow, we take the foam roller, and now we put the pillow or foam roller between the shoulders. Give it a big hug. Right? So, now imagine I'm sleeping again, right? And I have 3 pillows. This is exactly what you're going to do with the 3 pillows. This is exactly what you're doing with the bolster, right? I'm putting it between my shoulders to stabilize my shoulders so that they don't crush and condense on that bed, so that in the morning I wake up feeling all tight in my shoulders, right? So just like that, right now what you're getting into is more of a fetal position, a very comfortable position for us. So if you have access, you get a bolster at home, or you use the double pillow method. You go 1 between the knees, 1 between the shoulders, you hold, and then 1 the same width from our shoulder into our ear. If I'm a side sleeper, it's a wider pillow. If I'm sleeping face up, it's a skinnier pillow, right? This is very important. You note this the first night you take a sleep. Because say I get, right, things are going great. Fine. I get to Thursday and all of a sudden I wake up with that crooked neck. We've all been there before, right? You can't have it. So you have to master your environment.
It seems logical that poor sleep is really going to affect your long game and your dynamics and your athletic ability to some degree. But you know what else it's really going to affect? Your putting.
Sure.
Poor sleep, I really don't reckon you'll putt well with poor sleep.
Yep. Ability to make rational decisions on a golf course. Right here. Lack of sleep is going to kill you. So, I take that foam roller, I take that pillow, whatever it is. In this position now, I'm doing the same thing I just did with my shoulders, except for what? I'm doing it with my hips. So I take that fetal position, I take my left hip up, I come all the way over, and all the way back. All the way up, over, all the way back. Now what you'll start to feel is, as you disassociate between your upper body and your lower body, you'll feel that big stretch. Now the natural tendency here is your upper body's going to want to follow your lower body. And we'll do that in a second. But in the beginning, just get that range. All the way up, all the way back. Okay, once we do that, we switch. Don't worry, boys. I know you're cooked. We're halfway. We're home. We're in the home stretch. All the way up. All the way back. All the way up. All the way back.
Like you're cuddling a teddy bear there.
That's way up. All the way back. All right, we knock out 5. Good. Okay, now we've gone both ways in a half modified position. We follow it all the way. All the way up, all the way over, lose the foam roller. We use the leg as the driver. Leg comes up. We get to a point where my body says, this is as far as I can go. Once we get to that point, you let the arm go up, you follow it all the way over, bottom leg goes, and I return back to the opposite side. Up, 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 over, all the way. Try to separate it a bit. See that big stretch? Once you get as far as you can, now you go with the arm. If you don't feel the core stretch, you're doing it wrong. You need to feel the big stretch and the big torque between upper body and lower body. Once we've done it a few times with the leg leading, you can certainly do it with the arm as the driver. You go up with the arm, let the leg follow, all the way over. Arm, arm, arm. Leg, 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 leg. Arm, arm, arm. Arm versus the driver. Okay, boys, you feeling loose? Yeah. Now, what were we doing there, right? Coach here is talking about posture. He's talking about maintaining spine angles, right? He's talking about you rotating over fixed points, right? And it makes a huge difference when you're hitting on unequal lines, which you guys just were doing, right? That's why it's so important that you have a little bit extra in your rotation, both upper and lower body. Because if you have a fixed point here, whether it's downhill or uphill, my upper body needs to be around. I need to be able to literally sit there and have my supper, right? That's why the low body strength is so important. That's why your ability to turn around a very strong base is very, very important, right? But you have to be able to create that flexibility through the mid-trunk. Okay, next thing we keep working through, we're on our backs. Hands all the way out. All we're gonna do is some light lumbar rotation. So we're gonna come back and forth. Back and forth. Now, this was something I was doing in the beginning of the morning, right? Because imagine I wake up with back pain. How many guys here started Monday morning with back pain after the flight? At least 4 of you, I know for sure. This is how you warm up. You start, you lay in the morning, you go nice and easy. All you do is rotate the knees between the shoulders and get a little bit of motion to your lumbar spine. From that point, you get a little bit bigger and you slowly start to ease into it. As you get older, things get tighter. So this is going to be one of your go-tos. From this point, we start working into the hammies. So, jump straight into a figure 4. I cross the left leg over, straight to the right. All I'm doing is just pulling things up and rocking. I feel this in my left lateral thigh, but everyone's going to feel it in different spots. Maybe you feel it in your right hamstring. A few stretches, we switch. If you have trouble maintaining that figure 4, right? That figure 4 is the internal external rotators of your bum, which means you're going to have some trouble internally, externally rotating into your what? Into your swing. So watch that stretch. Try to get that leg as far out as you can. Feel that big stretch. This is a figure 2.5. So, boys, interlock the hands
between the legs. Hit that leg as far out as you can.
If you're 14, you can do the figure 12. It doesn't matter as much at this point. All right, boys. Once we've got into the figure 4, we can do some simple hamstrings. Interlock behind the leg, pull it up. Just simply extend. Just simply extend. You'll feel it in the hammy, you'll feel it in the calf. Wow.
Does it make any difference with that one if you need to be more here? Is there something in the hip flexor side there?
Coach asks a great question. If I lift my leg up and I start to see that my opposite side, my contralateral side lifts off the ground, that's a positive Thomas test. AKA, you have a tight psoas, right? So if I'm lifting it up and I see my opposite leg come off the ground, your hip flexor needs to be stretched, which is what we'll do in a second. So here's a good one. The more he goes up, the more you see him come off the ground, which means his hip flexor is tight. Great. Work through that one. Once we get the posterior chain, right, we got the lateral, we got the hamstring, we're going to work back in a little bit through the glute. So we come down, we make that same figure 4 position when we stretch straight through the bum. Okay? Knee forward, straight ahead of you. Cross that. I want to see the lateral part of your ankle touching the ground. Big stretch. Pain? Yeah. Pain? No pain? Yeah. Now guys, everyone here has a different range. It's important though you find where you're tight and work through it. And what I mean is, I don't hold this position in a fixed position. I move my hands over a little bit to the left. Oh, man, I feel tight there. Great. That's my spot. I work over a little bit to the right. Okay, that may be my spot too. The whole point is here, find your tightness.
Got to hunt the pain, haven't you, a little bit?
Hunt the pain, hunt the stretch. That's what you're here to do. You're not simply here just to do the stretch. You're simply here to find out where it's tight. Once you do that for a little bit, you hold, you switch. Now while you're doing this, you might feel a little bit of that hip flexor. That's great. That's the whole point. We'll get into that.
Can the young guys, is there any cramping issues that can come in? If they're getting cramping, what's going on there?
Sure. Coach asked a great question. This is going to happen to a lot of the boys. You're going to do something and you're going to feel it cramp up quick. You're going to stop immediately, right? What you're seeing here is a muscle is tight. When you ask it to stretch, it just cramps, right? Which means you immediately know that muscle needs more blood flow. You need to get into that tissue a little bit, right? Foam roller, trigger point ball. We've given you tools now to work through the cramps.
Related to hydration as well?
Related to hydration, probably a lot related to your patterns in your swing. Most of you guys are going to get cramps in your QLs. Most of you guys are going to get cramps because your lower body is very dominant. But again, that's why you went to the pool. That's why you have the salt in your bag, right? Now say I don't have the salt in my bag. You just go right up to that front counter, right up to that F&B, that desk, Renault, and you say to the girl, I need table salt. I just need table salt. You put table salt, just keep going. Throw it right into a bottle. Drink that down. That's what's going to get you through. If you cramp, you're not WDing. You're doing everything you can to fight through that cramp so that you can still make some money, right? Let's call it what it is. So get the table salt before you quit. Try every alternative. All right, boys.
I haven't seen every single stretch you've done. Have you done a QL deal?
Yeah, we're going to get back to
Oh, okay, sorry.
Coaches ran them hard. Most of you guys here have somewhat of a generational posture. And what I mean is, does everyone know where their phone is right now? Look at it. Is it right next to you? Yeah, right? Is it in your pocket even? A few of you guys left it back. My point is, everyone now knows where their phone is. Everyone now is in this posture all the time. The professionals are no different. They're watching their Instagram, they're watching their feeds, they're watching the golf. everyone between and around the round sits back in this very poor posture. As soon as I sit, my hip flexors get tight because my bum turns off and so does my core, which means you get tight right through here, right? So you've got to do things to help correct the poor posture. So the next one's a big hip flexor stretch. We come up on one knee, nice and proud. See the logo on the jersey? All we do is just lean all the way in and slowly start working through it. Does the angle matter? Yes, but in the beginning, just work A to P, front to back. Once I feel that big stretch, I'm in business, man. From this point, I can change the angles, just like Coach said. How do I get into my QLs? Reach. Reach across the knee, all the way across, and feel that stretch. I feel it in my body through my through my hip flexor, and through my lateral chain, my QL, my lat, all the way up.
Micaiah, what about the one-way sport of crunching on the right for right-handers, pulling the hip up out?
Sure. Sure.
With
So
that right QL.
if I have a tight right QL, which most golfers will, to be honest, QLs are going to be very tight for you in general because they're trying to stabilize your lumbar spine. This is very important. Lateral flexion. The QL is a lateral flexor that inserts on the base, basically the top of your hip, and comes up and inserts into your TVPs of your, basically the top of your lumbar spine. So it basically looks like a triangle. If the triangle contracts to laterally flex me, I have to do something to laterally flex it the opposite way. Okay? So if I'm going to combine the stretch, I use my foam roller, I come all the way across, I come back. I come all the way across, I come back.
Do you like some left-handed swings as well when they're warming up?
Absolutely. Always train the opposite way. Use that foam roller. Feel like you're staying up nice and tall so that you can get through it. Switch. Good. Good. Good.
Does anyone really notice it more on the right than the left?
Yeah. How many? Probably all of us, right? Once you feel like you get pretty good T-spine, once you feel like you're getting some good stability, you can certainly start to play a little bit with rotation. So take that all the way out, big stretch into your psoas, hip flexor, and just a big stretch all the way across. And you really start to feel it through your groin. Now guys, why is this so important? A pulled groin or a pulled hamstring is devastating. You see it right now in the NBA Finals. There's 3 or 4 guys right now dealing with calf, groin, or hamstring. Those are $100 million men, right? With the best medical staff in all of sports. Once you pull something like a groin, you're talking 6 to 8 weeks, probably, where you're going to be dealing with this off and on. That's why it's so important at a young age to develop good habits, right? Because the older you get, the tighter you get, the more likely you're going to pull something, right? All right, once we've done it, we do it both ways. Good. Get in the opposite way. Beautiful. Right? Like Coach said, everything needs to be done symmetrically. What we're going to talk about tomorrow in the gym is what they call anti-rotations, or training your body to go the opposite direction. If I'm a one-faceted athlete, shot putter, figure skater, baseball player, pitcher, golfer, whatever it is, I'm rotating as hard as I can to one side. Which means, would I be training harder going from right to left? Or should I start to realize I have to train to go left to right also? Whoa. Because what Coach is saying, what is so apparent for him as a swing coach, is he sees muscle patterns get really tight for you guys. Because you're only going one way on the driving range. That's why it's so important when you're doing the stretches and when we're doing the strengthening stuff that you're going in the opposite direction also. You're training your body to be as strong in both directions so that the muscle symmetry can balance out.
Okay? And because this leads back straight into posture and setup, which links directly to the patterns of shots that you're going to play.
Sure. Sure.
If your right QL's tight, you can pull your right hip up. All of a sudden now you're standing more this way over the ball. What's that look like? Looks like a low fade to me. What happens now as a tournament player, you start to lose the ability to draw the ball if you want.
Tiger
Comes back to ball maintenance.
Tiger became so obsessed with developing these symmetrical patterns, he brought a guy like me down to the driving range. And he had Tiger set up. Tiger hit a shot and said, right there, that's the spot. On the range, that exact moment, he's stretching out Tiger. Because he realizes the importance. If I have asymmetrical or muscle tightness on one side, I'm going to start doing things to develop bad swing paths. I'm going to start training my body because guess what? I feel tight all the time, right? Tightness isn't something you have to have. It's just something you have to earn the flexibility.
And traveling makes it worse.
That's right.
Potentially.
Traveling.
It's hard to train. You've got to have. Mackay's trying to get across to you guys, and I know it's getting in. That you have to start doing these things and making it a habit, because if you don't, and you're traveling, playing, you're going to break down.
That's right.
Definitely.
That's right. The first thing I ever heard that was most interesting to me on tour was when a guy said basically what are the 3 hardest parts of being a professional golfer. They said traveling, walking extensive amounts in different conditions, and playing golf. Right? Here we're learning how to play golf, but developing the other skill set is very important. We've all seen our peers come out of Q school, out of college, out of the amateur rankings, and they're awesome, right? Then they get to the pros and you say, oh, what happened to so-and-so? You just fell off the world. You used to be such a good player. Learning how to travel, learning how to stretch, learning how to eat, learning how to sleep makes every bit of a difference. Even something simple like realizing if I'm walking in wet, rainy, humid, Scotland, hard conditions, every week my feet really make a difference. Right? If I start to get blisters, if I start to feel tightness in my feet and my ankles and my calves, I can't play golf. Right? So it's very important for you guys to start realizing, hey, I need to be doing some of this stuff to stretch out. I need to be making sure I bring a couple pairs of shoes for the different conditions. If you're walking all day and your ankles and your feet in wet conditions are very active, at the end of the night, you get back to your foam roller, you get back to your trigger point ball. Who's got a trigger point ball for me? Who's got the little ball? I get back there and I immediately what? Take out a foot, start rolling through the ball to start getting motion back to my feet. Because all day long, your toes have been gripping the ground in your shoes. So your feet and your plantar fascia start to become very, very tight. Right? So you get back there and you do this. Now, I'm not asking you to do this, this is 3 to 5 minutes, guys. This is something you're doing in front of the TV. This is doing when you're texting your girlfriend about how you played. This is when you're calling your mom saying, oh, I played great today, or I played terrible. What am I going to do tomorrow? This is when you're sending the videos back to your swing coach. But this is what it takes so that the next day you come out and your feet, from the moment they hit the ground, feel fresh. Right? So if I know my feet, because the conditions are wet, my feet are overworked, I immediately think what? My calf is tight. It just has to be, right? It's the one pushing around the foot. So then I do what? I jump right on the foam rolling because I learned this already. I get that trigger point ball out, I get right to the spot, that's it. That little bit. I move around the foot a little bit, I get that blood flow, great. I go down to the pool, I flush the tissue, my brain feels fresh, my body feels fresh. That's how you do it, guys. That's how you set yourself apart from everyone else in that tournament.
Well, there's 2 things that you've got on the golf course. That's all you've got when you're out there. It's your body and your pre-shot routine. They're the only 2 things that you've got. Okay, you might have a caddy, but pre-shot routine and your body are more important than the caddy.
That's right. So you have to do everything you can to maintain that. Right? Health is wealth. You hear it all the time. When you're young, you feel like it lasts forever. Tell me one professional golfer who has his health right now and you'd be shocked to know what he goes through every week to maintain it. Right? And I see it firsthand, man.
And you know, there's some guys that have got some issues that I've really got to make. You know, how's Jason Day going? You know, there's
Yeah.
some issues there.
How's that disc? What's Jay Day doing every single day? What's the Sidekers doing every day? To maintain
Justin Rose has missed a tournament here or there with back as well.
hip flexibility. The guy is the hardest worker in the gym. There's no secret to the reason he's number one. Gets there early, goes through his physio, goes through his bands, travels every week. He's the first one to lay down on the ground, do his stretches. $100 million man laying down something on the ground, rolling out, right? Tiger's no different. You just don't see it. But these guys do this stuff, right? They do the hard work so that their body can respond week in, week out. Because as good as your swing is, guys, it's not going to get you to the next level. And if it does, keeping you at the next level is even more difficult. Everything is a total package, right?
If you play well enough and do well enough over the next few years to get a card playing somewhere, does anyone play? Do you know what Monopoly is? Monopoly is the board game. All you're doing is sitting on go at Monopoly with the dice in your hand. You're in the game. That's it. You haven't made it. You've got a card. That's great. But you've got to stay there for the next 5 years to make some money.
That's right. That's right. The guys I see that I respect the most are guys who have a routine. And it might not be a good routine, right? But week in, week out, they do it. When it's rainy, I saw Justin Rose. This is the pinnacle of excellence, right? It rained at Indonesian Open 2 years ago. It poured. What happens when it rains, right? Rain delay. We all come in, we're tired. We go on our phones, we go to eat, right? Now it's been raining we've been delayed for almost 90 minutes. Guys change their shirt, guys start to get tight. So then what does the logical guy say? When I start to get tight, what should I be doing? Stretching, rolling, right? Out of 120 guys, how many guys do you think I saw actively trying to warm their bodies back up? Probably maybe 5. But guess what? Rule number 1, right in the middle. Rain delay, he's right back in it. He's doing all of his stuff. He's got his band out, he doesn't even care. He changed into his gym clothes because he knew he was still at work. Rain delay doesn't make any difference. It's not a time to pause. You still got to keep your body warm. So then, you get back on the course, they take him up to 13, he birdies 4 in a row. Right? There's no, I mean, he is that good. But you realize now, he's doing something that very few guys are willing to do. And he's doing it for a longer period of time.
And then it becomes part of you and part of what you do. It becomes a routine. Habit's maybe not a great word, but it becomes a habit, if you like.
Sure.
And you start owning it. And because you start to feel better, feel stronger, play better, get more results, you go, okay, you know, you really start to take it on board.
That's right.
So you've got to work hard to make it and own it.
Yep. Positive feedback loop, guys. If you start to see success, you just keep doing it. Right? All right. So this was something easy, something simple. It was with the same stuff you're using, but just something that you can start to do. Does it have to be complicated? No, but it has to be consistent. The biggest thing to take away is if you have a tight spot, you have to figure out and have in your brain a library of things you can do to stretch it. Coach is right. Hip flexors, low body, lower extremity tightness, shoulder tightness. These are something all of you guys need to know because the moment you get off the flight, the moment you get out of that position, you need to know how to stretch it. Now, good news is we're going to post upper and lower extremity stretches on the website. You just have to take it upon yourself to do it, all right? Which is always the tough part.
How do we scratch our neck?
Yeah, good question. So, I'm tired. You know, I've been sitting a lot. My shoulders, my traps, these things are really tight, right? The biggest way I always stress is these are very delicate muscles, right? So people pulling them and stretching them. Oh, I want to get a good stretch. Be careful. Be careful. You don't want to stretch. You don't want to create your own muscle sprain straight, right? So the easiest time to do it is probably in the morning when you shower. Now what I mean is, you're already showering. How many guys here shower in the morning? Probably everyone, right? You wake up that way, right? So with the hot water, with the ability to stretch a little bit further because of the heat of that shower, that's a great time to do a little bit of back stretch and do a little neck stretch. Now, all you're simply doing is letting the heat fall down and then pulling it across, pulling it forward, getting a good range of motion, right? The easiest ones. If I'm seated, something simple like sitting on the hand. Once I'm sitting on the hand, my posture's pretty good. Then I'm pulling across, I'm pulling down. I'm trying to maintain that scapular stability, right? I'm pulling my shoulder back so I'm getting rid of some of that rounding, and I'm simply just working through the range of motion. Now some days you're gonna feel tight, right? So that's where you take that trigger point ball, you take that foam roller, whatever it is, you get right into that spot, whether it's on the wall, whether it's on the ground, and you simply work through that. So on the wall, very easy. I'm just simply working through, get right into that trap. Once I feel that spot, then what? Start moving until you feel it. Become your own doctor. There's not one guy, I can't tell you where you're gonna feel it, but here, I feel it now, so I'm gonna stretch the neck a little bit. Maybe I drop the hand. Okay, I feel a little bit more there. That's the spot, good. Now I roll through that. That's it right there.